He has not confessed to authorities. He is not cooperating. But all the people around him are cooperating. We can confirm that his roommate was indeed a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female, and that he is cooperating with authorities.
A Fox News alert. Charlie Kirk's murder suspect refusing to cooperate as the FBI discovers new details about his dark digital footprint before he makes his first court appearance tomorrow.
All right, FBI Director Kash Patel joins us now. I can't imagine, Mr. Director, how busy you've been, especially Charlie Kirk isn't just a impactful person, he's your friend. So I understand that. But having said that, people are looking to you to find out is how big this investigation is going to be. Can you tell us the latest?
Absolutely. It's so good to be with you. And you're right. My personal feelings and relationship with Charlie, I have a job to do for the American people, and I'm committed to do it for President Trump. We flexed all resources the FBI had and surged multiple air assets as soon as this shooting occurred. We were cycling in agents, evidence response technicians, hostage rescue technicians, and special operators in and out of Utah, cycling evidence back and forth on these FBI planes as soon as we could so that there was no delay. And what we did once I got there, along with the deputy on the ground around 5 p.m. local on September 11th, was walk the entire crime scene, including the foots the suspect himself took. And what we learned was there was evidence, DNA evidence that could be collected and had been collected, including a screwdriver that was found on the rooftop. Also, we went over to the scene in the wooded area where the firearm was discarded. And the firearm had a towel wrapped around it. It's important. I'll get back to that later. I even walked into the wooded area in the ravine, so I knew from my investigative experience what I could bring to the table and what decisions I needed to make. And having the support of President Trump and the full support of the White House was what we needed for these resources to happen. And I can report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody.
So, Mr. Director, that is vital. That is breaking news and vital information, because now you have the casings for the gun. So you connect the gun. Now you got his DNA on it. That's huge. But I also want to get to another part of it.
I just got to interrupt. Sorry, I just got to interrupt. We have the DNA on the screwdriver that was found on the rooftop and the towel that the firearm was wrapped in. The firearm itself, this is a great point. Thanks for raising it.
Yeah, no problem.
That is being processed by ATF laboratories in Maryland, and I believe they'll speak to that at a later date when their process is incomplete. But I just want to let you know the FBI handled the screwdriver and the towel found on the scene.
That is important clarification, Mr. Director. I want to get to the 20 members in that group chat. Have they been brought in from questioning? And the group chat that from our reporting that we're hearing is from after the assassination. Do you have the messages from before the assassination?
Well, let me take a step back and tell you what we were doing while we were there and how we were led to the suspect so that this all fits into the puzzle. We, as soon as we learned of the shooting, we were able to, I think Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:23 local time on September 10th. By 12:39 p.m. local time, FBI assets were on scene securing the scene. We then launched at 10 a.m. the next day the first images of the suspect. Myself and the deputy arrived at 5 p.m. local time on September 11th. And then what we did was decided to have a press conference at 8 p.m. local, where we issued for the first time FBI obtained video footage that we seized from the security camera surveillance system and new images, enhanced images. I decided to release immediately to the public because we were working with the public and the media to find this killer. Shortly after that 8 p.m. release, at 10 p.m. local time, the suspect was in custody. Why? Because the father informed us, pursuant to an interview of him, that he looked at the video that we released that evening and the enhanced photos and identified the suspect. That's how fast the FBI was working to put out information in real time. And And for a comparative sake, the Boston bombing, the FBI didn't release images for 3 days. We know we didn't have 3 days. I made an executive decision on an investigative and operational need, and it turned out to be the right move because the men and women of the FBI said that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, we knew when that video was released, we said it here on Fox and Friends, someone's going to recognize this person because someone was friends with him, his family. Someone knows this guy. Those images were crystal clear. Tell us what you know about his background, his childhood, his father who had to turn him in.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore the last question. Going back to the group chats real quick, there's more than 20 individuals. But this is a great point. I want to lay out how this works. People think we can just get in these group chats and immediately find out who's in them. We, the FBI, are the investigatory body supporting multiple prosecutions and ongoing investigations. And that's another point. Our investigation at the FBI is ongoing. And there are scores of people in this Discord chat room. But we have to effectuate legal process. We have to go out there with search warrants so that if prosecutors want to later use this evidence, it's not tainted by being illegally obtained. We, the FBI, are running the investigation pointedly on the Discord chat group. There are scores of individuals that are going to be spoken to. There are also lots of family members and friends that have already been spoken to. And one more point on forensics. We were able to obtain in record time the text message chain between the suspect and his live-in partner, as well as other critical cellular information from our CAS team that analyzes cell phone data towers in the area to pinpoint the locations of the suspect and other individuals he was speaking with. This is critical information that the FBI processed and got to prosecutors so they can lawfully use it in a court of law. And our investigation, our interviews continue, but we've learned some shocking things when we spoke to his family and friends as well.
You want to share them? Those shocking things?
Sure. And my job as FBI director is not to speak to motive, is to speak to the facts. And that's what I'm going to do. His family has collectively told investigators that he subscribed to left-wing ideology, and even more so in these last couple of years. And he had a text message exchange, he the suspect, with another individual, in which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. Those are factually accurate investigatory findings by the FBI that we've handed over to the local authorities and the federal authorities to make their prosecutorial decisions. But I believe in this instance of such public importance, the public has a right to know. And I've told you I'm committed to transparency, and that's what I'm doing here today.
Why didn't that person that he was talking to, why didn't that person say something?
Our investigation is ongoing. That's a great question, and we don't have an answer on that just yet.
But, Mr. Director, you're right. Your job is not to speak to ideology. But you do have the BAU, the Behavior Analysis Unit, that are there. And my sources, people that are within the Bureau and outside that used to be FBI, tell me that the BAU has been encouraged not to tackle the transgender issue from an ideology standpoint. Have you heard that? Are you tackling that? I know you've only been there recently. But you can't have a political slant saying we're not going to attack different political ideologies because it's going to offend someone.
You're absolutely right, and that's why me and the deputy have been quarterbacking this investigation ourselves. There is no one at the FBI that's going to politicize this investigation. There's no one at Quantico or anywhere else that is going to say we are not looking at X or Y. We are looking at the facts, and that is why we are releasing the facts in record fashion. If you go back and look at historical cases like Luigi Mangione and the Boston bombing, how long did it take the Bureau to release information to the public? We're not doing that. Those two manhunts took 5 days, and they happened in downtown major metropolises. We apprehended our suspect in 33 hours because we were transparent and open with the American public, and we're going to continue to do that. So anyone that thinks that the FBI is not on top of its game and that me and the deputy and everybody in leadership in our Salt Lake City field office in Quantico is doing anything politically, I'm not having it. And if you've heard anything else about it, they are lying to you. We're on it.
That's why it's so important that you came on, and we're thrilled you are. A couple other things. I have 2 quick questions. One, is it true, what the governor said yesterday, that he had a written note that you're looking into now prior to the assassination? Did he have a note And the other one question is, the person that was texting with him about, I have a shot at taking out Charlie Kirk, can that person be charged?
So I'll take those in reverse. The charging decisions are up to our great partners at the Department of Justice and the Attorney General, who have been wonderful providing resources during this entire process, and we'll let them speak to any charging decisions. But we, the FBI, are investigating. As I said, our investigation is ongoing. We're interviewing dozens and dozens of suspects, subjects, witnesses, and the like, and continuing to examine forensic information, including cell phone data and DNA analyses. And once we make those findings handed over to our partners, as we're doing in real time, they'll make those decisions. And I'm sorry, Brian, I forgot your other question.
You had a written note. Did he write a written note before the assassination attempt? That's what the governor said yesterday. And what did that say, if you could share
what I'm
that
able
with
to
us?
say, I'm sorry. So what I'm able to say is, I addressed it partially earlier, is that the written note, we believe, what did exist, and we have evidence to show what was in that note, which is, and I'm going to summarize, basically saying, the suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
So, Mr. Director, I'm curious, and there has been some criticism, so I appreciate you coming on our program and discussing it with our audience. Can you tell us what was happening on the ground? Apparently, according to sources, you weren't getting some information, you requested photos, and you were being stonewalled. Now, I think it's important to note, there's always some sort of tension between local cops on the ground and the feds. They want to handle their own investigation, but of course, with an investigation of this magnitude, you have to step in, you have the resources. But can you explain, was it the local field office, was it the state police? What was going on?
So the local authorities have been fantastic.
Okay.
The local sheriff, the state PD have been wonderful. And any investigation, as you hinted to, of this magnitude has so many people in it because I'd made the decision to surge so many resources. And to get the information up to me was of the utmost priority. So I worked with my team to say, hey, there's not going to be any delays. We're not going to do it the way we normally do things. So the only thing that people were doing at the FBI was how they knew how to do things. I had to expedite that process. That's my job. That's what I thought this case deserved. And that's what this case was rightly calling for. So I made the tough calls. But I wasn't critical of anyone in particular. I just said, we got to move faster. And that was my call to make. And if there's any criticism there, you can put it right here.
But who wasn't giving you information, Director? Who wasn't giving you the photos when you requested them quickly and it didn't make it to you? Who denied that order?
It's not a denial of the order. Just to clarify, I'm glad we're talking about this. The photos were produced. They just weren't produced in a timely fashion that I felt was appropriate for an investigation of this magnitude. So I came in and I accelerated that process.
So in the 24 hours after, when we were still looking for the guy, I know you posted that we got him. And that ended up not being true. You took some incoming because of that. What led to you posting that? Why did you feel so certain about it? And what do you have to say about the criticism?
No, I appreciate this opportunity. Look, as I stated, I was being transparent with working with the public on our findings as I had them. I stated in that message that we had a subject and that we were going to interview him, and we did, and he was released. The job of the FBI is not just to manhunt the actual suspect who did the killing or suspects, but it's also to eliminate targets and eliminate subjects who are not involved in the process, and that's what we were doing. Could I have worded it a little better in the heat of the moment? Sure. But do I regret putting it out? Absolutely not. I was telling the world what the FBI was doing as we were doing, and I'm continuing to do that, and I challenge anyone out there to find a director that has been more transparent and more willing to work the media on high-profile cases, or any case the FBI is handling, than we have been under my
just follow, do you think that guy was part of the plot to distract you while this guy got away? Do you think there's any connection between two of those people that stood up and acted crazy at that moment?
Well, as it's now been publicly reported, some of these people were taking claims for this horrific act of violence, and they had nothing to do with it. Others were working what we call a daisy chain analyses, and this is where the cell phone data dumps are so important. We're seeing who talked to who, not just in chat groups. We're seeing who texted who was around who. We're using our geofencing capabilities to map out exactly where individuals were, and then we're also getting into their personal cell phone information to say, were you calling so-and-so? Were you texting so-and-so? And we know the suspect was communicating with folks, but as I've said, that cell phone tower information, you got to get it the right way, with search warrants, with lawful authority, so that our prosecutors can use it in court for whatever investigations they decide to prosecute.
Kash, he's not saying a word. He's not admitting it. Is he remorseful? And what happens to him? Does he get the death penalty?
Well, I'll let the state authorities speak to their prosecution, which is ongoing. As I think your summary is correct, based on my information that I have, he has not been cooperating in terms of interrogations with our law enforcement officials.
And, Mr. Director, we always appreciate it because every time there's silence, that's when the conspiracy theories pop up. Yeah. So we appreciate you coming out with us today and just telling people what you know. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Mr. Director.
Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.